Now nobody comes.
Bye, good. All the best.
So, okay. So I'm going to run down the timer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action. Good day, all of you. Welcome to another episode of Futurecast, an episode where we bring the thinkers who are working for the problems of tomorrow, but they don't start tomorrow, but they start today. And today we have a new guest, a thinker, a thought leader, and none other than Ms. Shipra Chawla. She has been in the education field for almost 2 decades and beyond that. Plus, she is also a professional speaker, a member of Professional Speaker Association, and she has been a corporate trainer and a consultant. And she is also leading a movement which is called EduCatalyst movement. So before I go into our conversations with her, let me introduce the topic of today's session. It is re-engineering Indian education system. And why we have chosen this topic is Indian education system has been in the foray for almost 200 years. But now I think, and Ms. Shipra also thinks, it's a time to reset. So that's the topic of our discussion today. How do we re-engineer the Indian education system? Why do we need to do that? And before we do that, I would like Ms. Shipra to talk something about herself, give a little better introduction than what I have been able to share about her. So over to you, Ms. Shipra.
Hello, Jayesh. Hello, friends. All those who are listening to me through this wonderful, wonderful platform, Futurecast. I can't thank you enough, Jayesh, honestly, because this was high time that a platform like that was needed to communicate what is going on in minds. So, yes, re engineering Indian education system is a need of the hour today. Talking about me, you've been very generous with your words already. I am an educatalist. Now, coming to this word, let me tell you that everybody is familiar with the word catalyst. They don't spend themselves completely, invest themselves completely, and burn themselves out into the reaction, but they alter the rate of the reaction according to the need. This is what I think I do. Where wherever I feel that yes, there are changes to be needed, there are change makers needed, that's where I come in. When I see that the education system now cannot dwell on, you know just to inform, it is meant to transform. And that is where a particular role of the educatalist comes into picture. And trust me, Jayesh, I would love to create a tribe of the educatalists across India to make this movement happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Shipra. And I like the word that you wanted to create a movement and a tribe because that's what we need. Because it's not one man's job. It's not going to happen overnight. And it's actually going to be a little longer process. And like we had a movement of independence, a movement of getting the transformation, like from the India or the India of 1950, we brought it to a new India of 21st century. We also need to actually have it into that movement. So before we talk more about it, I wanted to know what do you think are the challenges of our current Indian education system, be it parents, be it children, and be the teachers and the trainers.
So, first of all, before I answer your question, let me tell you, Jayesh, nobody till date has compared this kind of movement to the independence movement. And this is exactly what is needed. You know, Moving out of the traditional mindsets, traditional education. See, we are teaching children with a mindset of, you can say, with a skill set of 20th century. We are trying to prepare children for 21st century, for the jobs. Maybe we can say that they're already outdated in 90s, or maybe they're about to get off the market. So what are we up to, right? So that is where the challenge lies. So I'll split it up very beautifully. You've already done so in your question, for teachers, for students, for parents, and for the entire society per se, which is built by all of them that we spoke about. For a teacher, let me tell you, being a teacher myself, this is my 23rd year of experience as a teacher. Okay, so in a rural part, in a rural India, say for example, where we are talking about, in textbooks we talk about satellites, a teacher might come. I have had conversations with teachers who are struggling badly with the resources that they have. They're talking about satellites given in the textbook. They're talking about AI with no chalk in the classroom. Come on, what are we up to, right? We are trying to make this transformation from chalk dust to stardust. It is going to take time, and that is where the tribe is going to be needed. Teachers are facing challenges day in, day out with the modern day's parenting system. So here comes the role of parents now. I need to address the need of parents that they can't build upon expectations like marks.
Hmm.
Marks. That was
Right.
a done and dusted, you know,
Yes.
idea
Right.
that
It has to
needs.
move from something like just number based to something which is more meaningful based.
Exactly. So there is where we need to nurture our kids on emotional safety more. Where on one side we talk about collaboration, parents still have a competitive mindset. And trust me, I watch it in every single parents teachers meeting. Every single of that. It comes very subtly though. Very subtly. It's not like how it used to come in our times, but it still exists. Now, how all those parents who might listen to this podcast, let me have a word with them and I'll tell them very clearly that a student, may have got 98% marks or 97% marks in 10th standard, and he being an alumni coordinator, I can tell you I've got umpteen such experiences when they come back after 12th standard and they tell me, Miss, where do I stand? I got so much, but where do I stand? Did I able was I able to crack a competitive exam? No. Did I face a an audience of, say for example, a community which needed an address from a 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid as a confident kid? Did my child do that? No. So that raises a question on me as a teacher, that what am I doing? So all these, Jayesh, are challenges, big time challenges for the Indian education system, I think.
I can very well relate because after I cleared my 12th and engineering and I went into the corporate world, and my first job was to talk with the customer. And I remember the first time he was not understanding anything about engineering, but he wanted a simple communication about what was the issue in front of him, whether I was able to solve it. His questions are very simple. What can you do about my car? What type of
Mm.
problems I'm facing, what would be the cost, when it would be ready. And I had to convince him on certain areas where we knew that something had gone wrong and it was very much challenging. And I went back to my engineering teacher from humanities and I asked her that how do I solve it? He says that she said to me, over the 4 years, probably we were meeting a lot of time, and I understand that at least now we have started to understand how communication or your skills are very much different from the knowledge what you have gained. So, in your education system, you had a good amount of knowledge. Now you're going to require to hone the skill. So this brings me to the next question, which is, have you felt any moment in your teaching career where you have understood that education needs to have something more for the children, which is currently not there, and due to which the children actually, when they go out in the real world, they face the tough challenges, which is, we can see it that though there is an employment, but they don't find a success rate, children keep on after they complete their education system, keep on hopping from one job to another job, and every time they look for a new opportunity. So do you feel our education system needs something more to help the children grow from something like just a knowledge kid to something like more skillful?
Absolutely. So, your last word of the question answered the question: skills.
Okay.
Skills are, you talk about NEP today, National Education Policy, they are, they speak, volumes about skills. My question is, do we have a fraternity in the teaching department, the faculties, who are able to deliver? Are they skilled themselves? The biggest question is, for example, if I'm addressing this, I have to reflect on myself, that I skilled enough to create a skilled community for 21st century? So there it brings a bigger question, that it's when we talk about a skilled community amongst learners. Recently I went to HR conference, and it is a very interesting incident, Jayesh. People in huge boardrooms, they talk about, there's a lapse, there's a huge difference between the college and the corporate. They always talk about how to smoothen this, you know gap between college and corporate. And trust me, I was an exception there. There were no educators in that entire meet. They were discussing themselves, they were discussing the problem. Who has got the responsibility to solve it? We need problem solvers today. We, as mature adults, have to sit together and break our heads and actually, form a strategy, create learning development programs for teachers in a way that they believe more on themselves. They empower themselves to a level where, okay, I'm ready to cater to the needs of these children. Imagine, I have such kind of breakdowns on and off a number of times. When a child gets around 67% or 85%, we have heterogeneous groups everywhere. They have a question on their existence, that, okay,
Right.
ma'am, what am I supposed to do? I'm getting
Okay.
only 82. I have to listen to this. I have to listen to my coaching class. I have to listen to what my mom is saying, to the rising expectations of my dad. And they are, trust me, they are doing their best. But are the textbooks enough to create a self reliant, resilient, independent learner, independent
Correct.
citizen of tomorrow?
Correct.
Trust
Mm.
me, the answer is a very, very big no. That is where skills come in.
Right. Because I can definitely remember during my school days, certain amount of skills we used to laugh. That okay, if this person is like, I remember a gentleman in my school days and he used to say,
Mm,
I want to entertain everybody. And we used to say, okay, but our parents think that if he's going to entertain everybody, how are you going to make a living? And after so many years, when I watch Kapil Sharma show or any stand-up comedian and just have a think about that, I remember that gentleman has said, probably many years back, he had the skill and he was on the path. And you can see today that nobody, even the person who is the prime minister or a person who is the
right.
president, must be watching the Kapil Sharma show or must be watching that celebrity because they are good at what they are doing. They're good at the art of skill of entertaining people and they have been doing it. And
Absolutely.
probably if that period of time, if our education system, our society had that audacity to recognize him, I'm sure he would have started doing that from his college days. I have not been in touch with that gentleman, but I really hope so that if he's listening to this entire podcast, he starts accepting the skill which was gifted to him and starts doing that.
Wow, that is so amazing. That's a very powerful message that you gave. Indeed.
And I definitely I agree with you, and our audience will also agree that marks are not the ultimate aim of it. They are like a score, but it's like on what you are able to score them. So I remember a saying that if you ask a fish to climb a tree, it's always going to fail. But if you ask a fish to swim in the water, that's the real playground for it, and you can definitely measure the performance there. And that's where I think our future education system must start focus that what are we trying to measure? Is it in line with the person's progress, or it is in a completely different area where the person is not interested or not suitable to do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely right. We need to have a vision, Jayesh. We need to have, today, we need to think about 20 years ahead. Only then we will be able to nurture them the way the globe needs it. See, today we are not talking about only India. Nothing is in staying, nothing can stay in isolation. We need to keep them globe ready. We need to create citizens of the world, not just India. So for
Right.
them, that is what is needed. You are absolutely right.
So taking our talks forward, I wanted to
Mm.
know, you have been writing this word EduCatalyst. So what is EduCatalyst? Can you share something more about it? Our audience is very eager to know about it.
So for the term EduCatalyst, as I told you, catalyst used to it used to amuse me initially. I'm a bio person though, but in chemistry, that term has always amused me. And then I realized that this is what I'm doing, unlearning and relearning and creating a platform where we are transforming people. Transforming not just people. Today, if you're talking about not one category per se, I'm trying to cater to students, teachers, parents, and now recently I've stepped into corporate trainings as well. And you want to know more about EduCatalyst Academy? It's an academy which I've recently founded. You will come to know about this in the book. It's here too. It's called Born to Bloom. One chapter consists of my journey, which will tell you that from a small towner, okay, from a person who was always tagged a mediocre, I completely understand what is the journey from there to how many bruises, how many hurdles, how many beautiful experiences you have to cross, gain to become something that you are today. And so, Jayesh, I'll tell you on a very emotional ground, I feel that if I can keep my hand, in front of somebody's knees to give that person less bruises, why shouldn't I do that? So,
Yes,
my
surely.
journey becoming educatalist is that.
I wish I had actually had a teacher like that. I recollect very few teachers. I remember I met a teacher in my engineering college after almost like 2 decades, and she failed to recognize me, but I recognized, and she said, "Did I ever teach you?" Well, that's the beauty of that. I am, as a student, able to remember you. That I think that should be more than enough for you, because you see
Yeah.
thousands of students, but a student sees only one teacher, and I
Wow.
probably, as we talk, I understand you're very passionate about what you do, and that's what we need in teachers today. So now this brings me to one another aspect, like we talked about in our education system. We have parents, we have children. Do you have some plan for changing the way our teachers and trainers think? Because I think if they think differently, definitely our children will think differently, our children will think differently, the parents will think differently.
Wonderful question. Wonderful question, Jayesh. Let me tell you that teachers are struggling with syllabus. As a trainer, it's been 10 years that I'm training teachers now. They have, the moment you pop up a situation in front of them that let's do something different, let's try something different, they always have they are right on their part. I am not questioning that. But what is needed is empathy. What is needed for a teacher is to upskill themselves to a level where they are up, they are keeping themselves abreast about what is coming up. See, for example, neuro linguistic programming. Okay, when I started learning this, I've recently coached teachers on that. Neuro linguistic programming, imagine what a beautiful way to rewire somebody's brain, giving experiences where teachers start understanding that it's not the pedagogical strategies which matter more. Of course they matter. I'm not asking you to nullify that, the significance of those methods. But remember, the key term is the key phrase should be mind over method. Because if I ask you today, close your eyes for a while and think about, just close your eyes for a while and think about how your favorite teacher used to conduct her lesson. Take your memory to that particular classroom, how that classroom was, what was the communication,
I
what
remember
stays in. Mm,
I remember my engineering days during where
mm,
the teacher used to actually bring a specimen. Like we used to learn fluid dynamics from her, and that
okay,
was all about how fluids work. And the point is, she used to bring a specimen or something which was very much available, like a glass of water, and say that, can you find out if an ant was there, what type of pressure this ant might be getting when if she's been crawling in the bottom of the water. And we used to laugh that ant will almost die. And she said, yeah, I just wanted to see if you're present in the moment or not. Are you got
okay,
lost in the engineering, or are you present in the reality? That because I know the topic which I'm going to teach is going to talking about this, but if the ant was bottom, then the point is forget the pressure, she's going to die. Ha. The next
indeed,
question was that she said, could you please calculate what type of pressure was she was getting inside the thing? Then
okay,
now she is dead. Imagine that she was wearing an oxygen mask. What type of pressure would they be doing that? And I
right.
still remember that. It's almost been 2 decades, but I still remember.
Because tell me, what did you enjoy after that? What brought
It was
that
an
memory to you?
experience. It was an experience, something connected to reality, something visual, something which was not like a textual problem, something which was in the reality. And it made your mind to think. And that's what I
Exactly.
remember.
Exactly, because that gave you a feeling of accomplishment and amusement at the same time. Oh my God, she's got something super visual, of course, and the anecdotes and the situations that she gave, well, you found it, you were really happy. Oh my God, my fluid dynamics teacher is talking about something as light as an ant and the water combo. So, Jayesh, what happens is, especially in the junior classes, if you talk about till 10th standard, 12th standard, you remember the feeling that she gave you more than the content. You remember the feel. We are human beings, we thrive on feelings.
Yes.
So we need to understand. In fact, when you're talking about teacher training programs, for example, if you ask me today, I have curated modules for teachers where powerful communication, speed networking amongst each other,
Yes.
bringing best strategies to the table, understanding that while you are delivering a lesson in a class, the person who's sitting in front of you is having the spotlight, not you.
Yeah.
Teachers
Right.
today suffer from a spotlight syndrome. Oh my God, I'm being watched. Somebody will watch me. They
Mhm.
will judge me. Nobody is doing that. They
Yes.
are, they have a because they've been victims to the system. They realize, they feel that I'm being watched, I'm being judged. You drop that idea, drop that syndrome, understand
Yes.
that focus is on the child. Mind over
Yes.
method.
Correct.
That's it.
That's
That's
a
more
good.
than
That's
enough.
a good word. Mind over method. And
Yeah.
Shipra, I'll now take you through the end. Could you please share? Let's say, could you sum up the entire thing? That what would be the one-line message would you like to give to our audience, teachers, parents, students, in a way, just a one-line message?
All those who are listening to me through this wonderful podcast, let me tell you, whether you're a student or a parent or a teacher, anybody, you are the guardians of your own potential, guardians to your own potential. If you really want to become a change maker, focus on the connection. Learning will follow. Nobody is going to snatch those moments from you. Content is going to come. कहाँ जाना है content में? It is not going to go anywhere. It will seep in through your layers. But for that, you need to develop a connect. That's it from my end.
Thank you. Thank you, Shipra. Thank you for giving the time. Thank you for giving the audience. And I'm sure through your small session, the audience has learned more. In fact, I have learned more. The teachers may have learned more. And best of luck to you from Futurecast team for your EduCatalyst movement, and we pray that in the next coming months and years, we see your movement grow more and more. And Futurecast and team from me, Jayesh, we have all been a part of helping you do that, and I'm very glad. Thank you for this wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jayesh. Thank you. Thanks a lot.